Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear me. That's all right.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Speak again.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you, I think.
But you just can't hear yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, well. You can hear yourself in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can hear my voice out loud.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Hello. I didn't sigh during the Ripped Up this week. Yeah, thank God. I listened back to them and I'm so embarrassed. We are down a member today.
Again.
Yeah, God.
You
who would
guys!
miss the show? Max is the only member who's been authentically here throughout.
It's because I have nothing else to do.
Well, yeah. I had real life to catch up with, and Mark has real life
This
to
is
catch
my
up
real
with.
life.
Yeah, I wish this was my real life. Oh.
Just pretend it is. It's easy
we
that
still
way.
have a super exciting show planned for you. It's just going to be me and Max, of course. Gonna bring you some of that classic NFLementary good vibes. The rewind is back, although we don't have our jingle machine, so I haven't confronted that problem yet.
I'm not going to even bother trying.
You are sitting in Mark's seat.
I am,
just
but
saying.
I'm not doing it.
We've got some cracking topics lined up to have a chat about. We're going to be looking back at last week's action where a lot happened.
Yes.
Of course, marking up our predictions like we always do. Really looking forward to it. Make sure you stay tuned throughout the whole episode for a little cheeky charity plug at the end, because we're good people on this show.
Yes.
But yeah, without that, let's get on. You are why. So we've been having some chat. I can hear myself now, I think.
Oh, there you go, Nancy.
Well, who knows? I am not technical.
Do you know what? Every
all.
week there is always something
Yeah.
wrong. Always something.
I feel like it's probably our fault. Maybe if I turn my headphones... Oh, okay. So my headphones weren't turned up enough.
There you go. It's like when me and Mark were doing the first show without you, and we had this continuous reverb. I was playing with everything.
In fairness, that wasn't your fault. That was like URY. That was some kind of
thank God for
technical
that.
issue.
Because the whole way through, I'm thinking like, I'm just making this hard for myself because I don't know what I'm doing. Like, that's the problem. But then why would that ever be a setting?
We're all about the content, not the
The quality.
You said it.
Yeah.
Yes. What should we? Let's do rewind first.
Yes.
Yeah, I think rewind makes sense first. My turn to do it this week.
Yeah.
Mark apparently got a 10 last week. This is
I
what he's
don't
been
know.
telling me.
I thought I gave him a 9 because he said that he felt he could do better. So I was like, well, I may as well just give you a 9.
Let's posthumously. Well, not posthumously. He's not dead. Post.
We do this too often when we
Post-show.
refer to people
we
as
refer
dead.
Let's post weekly give him a 9 instead of a 10.
Yeah.
I have selected my bed for the week.
Okay.
You might recognise it. It's not copyright, I don't think, because it's on the URY system. So if it is copyright, blame URY, don't blame me.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
I hope
fair.
you're listening Ofcom. I'll give you a little taster. Recognise it?
It's amazing.
I'll throw some names out there. Andy Murray. Roger Federer.
Oh,
Rafael Nadal.
they're in the F1, aren't they? Formula 1.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
This is a sports show, everybody.
Yeah, I know. No, it is Wimbledon, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I think it is Wimbledon. We were talking about it before the show. Can't quite remember.
Unless it's the horse racing. No, it's not.
I never watched the horse racing,
No.
though. I remember that from my childhood.
Yeah,
I'm
I
pretty sure
reckon that
that's
is Wimbledon, yeah.
Like today at Wimbledon, 8 o'clock, BBC 2.
Oh, yeah.
Other tennis shows are available.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to book BBC because it's like public? I
Well,
don't know.
yeah, I mean, we pay for it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, damn right, BBC.
yeah.
Anyway, on with the rewind. The rewind.
Oh, it's all right.
That was quite good, wasn't it? Yeah. Mark, I'm coming for your job. I'll start the bed going. Just get myself warmed up. Couple swings of my tennis racket.
Oh, Lord.
Ready? Here we go.
Oh, God, here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2. So we started off with the Bears, not the. What's that?
Do you know what, though? The jingle in the background is the best part about this whole, like, mess. Like...
We don't even have a timer going.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think we're forgoing the whole time, I think.
Really? Oh, well.
Everyone's
I
just
was
been
not
in for a
informed.
minute.
Okay, I'll just start again. I'm just enjoying listening to the jingle, to be honest.
So much of our show is going to need cutting out.
No, I love it. Right, ready? Here we go. 49ers, not Bears. So I've been mulling it over. I'm pretty sure the 49ers are a good team. The Falcons went to Washington and they were Matt trying their best. Stafford got hunted down by the Vikings. I think the Steelers' offense has turned a corner. With the Chiefs, we had the cat who got the Kareem hunt. Sonny D, more like Sammy D is... I know, I was about to say Sonny Delight. Oh well. Peterman, he went out there on the field and he tried to copy his favourite Christopher Nolan and Leonardo DiCaprio movie, but he got the spelling wrong. That's Inception or Interception. Panthers being out of the Bucks. It was like a X Factor tribute band. Misdirection. Seahawks and the Chargers. The Chargers are keen on challenging the Chiefs in the AFC West. Then with the Broncos and the Texans, we saw the Panthers use misdirection. The Broncos used misfield Goldian. They lost that game. With the Saints and the Rams, I had a lot of different puns for this one, but in the end, I came with both teams played like neighbours who forgot to partition their gardens. They forgot defences. Then we had the Patriots and Panthers. The Battle of the Goats, which arguably didn't even feature the GOAT. Aaron Jones, the Fumblebee.
Yeah.
Finally, we had the Cowboys and the Titans. Trades could not recuperate that Cowboys offense. Thank you very much. That was the rewind for this week. How am I going to do? I feel like...
I think your thing is puns. Yeah. We have our thing now. Yeah. Mark does like these like intricate like...
rap poems.
Yeah, soliloquies. And I just offend everyone and you just come up with puns. What did I give you your first one? Did I give it a 7? Oh, it was better than the first one. It was better than
my first, yeah. But equally, my first one just sounded angry. This one, I think the content was a 10. I think the delivery maybe 100% wasn't there because I'm trying to read my very small
I'm going to give
writing.
it an 8 because Mark's was so good.
One day.
Sorry.
How many more weeks have we got left of the season? Well, we also have the playoffs.
Oh,
the rewind's going to be well short in Super Bowl week, isn't it?
Yeah. I look forward to hopefully getting that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to give it an 8. And
okay,
I'm going to
Mark's still on top of the leaderboard at 9.
Yeah.
What did you got an 8, didn't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. At least I've tied with you then.
Yeah, that's all right.
I'm pushing up. One day I'll hit that 10. My puns will get better.
Yeah.
Well, will they? Or will they get worse? Probably.
I think if they get worse, I'll probably give you a better score. Yeah. That's the thing.
What was your favourite one? My favourite one was the Panthers used misdirection. Broncos used misfield Goldian.
Yeah, I like that one. I also like the neighbours without a partition one.
Yeah.
I like the first one over Nick Mullen.
Being Mullen over. Yeah. We'll talk about Nick Mullen on the show. What a superstar. Yeah. Getting verified on Twitter halfway through a game is the stuff of legend. But yeah, that was the rewind for this week. You are why. That felt really loud in my ears there. Next, I heard your chair. Was it your chair squeaking or mine? I just heard it squeaking. I thought it was like a party anthem.
I think it's you.
Anyway, it's not a party anthem. It's just NFLementary. First thing I want to talk about today is: are the Falcons back?
Maybe.
Were they ever gone?
See, this is the thing. I know I picked the Redskins to win, and that was more...
Oh, yeah, we have to do that.
That is more of a defensive thing.
Yeah.
But when you look at the last few weeks with the Redskins, they've been putting up on average like 20 points and still winning the game.
Yeah.
They were never going to be able to put 20 points up against this team and win. So in that respect, I'm not sure. The offense is still there. I don't think that was ever the problem. I think the problem was always the defense.
Yeah.
But if there's ever a time to kind of figure it out, it's probably now.
Yeah.
And now they're at 4-4. They're probably not going to win the division, but they are right back in the race in terms of wild card.
Yeah. Could see another 3 NFC South wild cards.
Like I said, on offense, they're definitely good enough. It's just whether or not their defensive players that they're left with after, being purged with all those injuries, I think if they can get it right, then they are still a contender.
Yeah, there's a couple of things to talk about. The Falcons scare the heebie-jeebies out of me because their offense, they've got the best offense in the league. I know you've got, and I'm going to say that, you've got the Rams scoring more points, you've got the Saints with Drew Brees, but that Falcons offense just as a unit. And shock horror, when Steve Sarkisian is actually allowed to use his own playbook, not some weird derivative of Kyle Shanahan's, he actually knows what plays to call and can actually make a team functional. Who would have thought it?
I know. And now Julio knows how to score in the end zone, that's not good. And they're missing Devonta Freeman. Tevin Coleman having himself a pretty good season without him.
Ego Smith is another good find.
Yeah.
So kind of having an underrated season. Their O-line is up there as the best in the league. I think.
Yeah,
like
well, they definitely got one of the
least.
best centres in Alex Mack.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I I guess they are.
They were 8 of 8 for third downs at one point. I'm not sure what the final stat was. I can look it up in a second. But, that's a measure of a team's ability to execute and their coaching. Like nous is what do you do on third downs?
To be fair, I've only just really thought about it, but the way that their season has gone so far, in a way, kind of reminds me of the year they went to the Super Bowl. The first half was win some, lose some, but they were always pretty good on offense, and then it kind of settled down, and they just started winning.
The other thing is kind of an underrated presence on their defense. Grady Jarrett has come back, and suddenly that defense has started functioning again, getting a lot of pressure. I wouldn't say the secondary is playing on fire because they're not really, but
they've got no safeties left.
Also, Deion Jones is coming back in 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah,
that's going to be a big help for them. Really good middle linebacker. Really like to see him. I'm scared of the Falcons. I won't lie to you. They are back. I don't think they were ever gone. I think it's just very Falcons to be like, oh yeah, whoops, we have to win games to go to the playoffs, not just play pretty football. Yeah. You do also have to say the Redskins' discipline was atrocious. They gave away over 100 yards in penalties.
That's typical Redskins, though. I think they are their own worst enemy. I always said that when Kirk Cousins was still there. Kirk Cousins was not the problem.
Yeah.
Go look at Minnesota. Their problem has been defense because Kirk Cousins has been playing lights out, and suddenly the defense is playing well, and they played very well.
Yeah.
And there's Washington.
Kirk Cousins didn't have a great game against the Lions, but
no, he didn't. But again, it's just Washington beating Washington.
I think that the warning signs are there for the offense. I think, and Jay Gruden has kind of revealed himself to. I think Jay Gruden is now at the stage where it's a desperation play, and he's picked up Adrian Peterson, and from some freak of nature that Adrian Peterson is, he's playing really well at the age of granddad. But the problem is that the Redskins are relying on a style of football which is more kind of at home in the 90s. And they're incredible at stopping the run. I don't think they've had a single 100-yard rusher against them. Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Ryan Kerrigan, their whole front seven is... I think their front seven's the best in the league. Taking that title away from Carolina, I'm happy to give it to them because they're amazing. You cannot run on them. Josh Norman is washed up and past it. And, I like him. Obviously, former Panthers player, would have liked for us to keep him. We didn't. I think we tagged him, untagged him, and then he went to the Redskins. Animosity at best.
Like a Facebook post. Tagged and untagged.
Josh Norman is washed up past it. Quinton Dunbar is a serviceable CB2. Their two safeties are really good. They've now got DJ Swearinger and Clinton Dix, which is exciting. But their whole style of football is let's stop the run and then let's run on them. And that's just not going to work nowadays.
He's a Gruden. What do you expect? They're stuck.
Yeah, but the Gruden's meant to be these amazing offensive coordinators. You put a tweet out on our channel, if you're not following on our Twitter, if you're not following us at NFLementary, talking about how this whole why did everyone expect this Gruden rebuild to work?
No, it was what Shannon Sharp said, and as obviously a Tampa Bay fan, I felt it and I got it because I was like, this is exactly what I've been saying. Nothing that happened in Tampa Bay in 2003 had anything to do with John Gruden. You want to know why? Or you want a proof? Look at every year after that.
Yep.
We made the playoffs twice in the next 5 or 6 years with Gruden and didn't win a playoff game after that Super Bowl win. It all went downhill. Tony Dungy made that. If you want the last legacy Gruden left in the NFL, you have to go back 17 years to Oakland.
Yep.
And even then he had 3-4 years in Oakland. A couple of those years were successful. Maybe the Tuck rule ruined that Super Bowl appearance for him, but then I don't think they would have beaten the Ravens anyway. So
I just think what we're going to see over the next 10 years is every year there'll be a different excuse from Gruden. So this year is rebuilding. Next year is wait and see how my draft picks work out. Third year is, Derek Carr's not the quarterback I thought he was.
Yeah.
Fourth year is, he's a rookie quarterback. We got to give him time. Fifth year is, he's my quarterback now, so you got to give me at least 2 years with him.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, you're 7 years into the contract. You've given him $70 million, and what have you got? 4 and 12 every year at best.
Yeah.
Raiders are gone. They're going to Las Vegas. It's going to be a massive flop. It's going to be worse than the Chargers in LA because at least the Chargers in LA are winning something.
The thing with the Raiders as well is, in one respect, I'm like, they're going to Vegas, which means that someone's going to want to buy them, and that might change things. But I don't know if the Davis family will ever kind of say okay to that. Not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
Because Gruden is their guy.
realistically, I think the best thing that the Raiders can do right now is tell Reggie McKenzie, you're too good for us. Let him go. Give Gruden some kind of GM powers and just let him crash and burn for a bit. Gather some good players. Wait till the year where you can finally fire him. And then bring in someone who now has all these blue chip players. Let Reggie McKenzie free. Let him fly free. Let him come to Carolina. We'll have him.
I don't really know how this became a Raiders topic, but
true.
Whatever.
Just Gruden.
I think if I am a head coach, general manager, I'm looking at not only the conference, but more particularly the division you're playing in. And you've got to prepare for the fact that if you're the Raiders, you have to play Phillip Rivers twice a year. Yeah. You have to play Patrick Mahomes now twice a year. But you have to play the Denver pass rush every year. And I don't think they've prepared for any of that because they've got no secondary, which means that Rivers is going to torch them every time. Mahomes is going to torch them every time. They take away their own pass rush, which means that the Chargers, who have one of the best O-lines in the league, you're not going to get pressure on Rivers. The Chiefs, who have one of the best O-lines in the league, you're not going to get pressure on Mahomes the way he runs around. And the guys that you drafted for O-line, is it Colton Miller?
Yeah.
Is awful. I've never seen a guy who's like 350 pounds get mowed down the way that he does.
Colton Miller seems to me like, because he's like 7 foot, isn't he? He's a man mountain, and I feel like...
But he's like a massive baby.
Yeah. Obviously, I can't comment on the intricacies of college play, and I'm not saying that college tackles have no skill or whatever, because they clearly do. You look at someone like Mike McGlinchey, or I know Quentin Nelson's not a tackle, but that's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it seems to me like the majority of Colton Miller's success came because he was too big for people to push him over or get past him. And now that he's in a league where you're with kind of the top 0.1% of athletes in your entire nation, if not, the top 1% of athletes in the world, maybe. You're not going to win by being bigger than them, really, unless you've got the skills to complement it. And he really needs to go away and work on his fundamentals a bit more.
I think the problem
having never played defensive tackle in my life.
Both the problems with the Redskins and the Raiders conveniently is the fact that at this point, is Jay Gruden going to offer you anything he hasn't already offered you?
Yeah.
You've got one playoff appearance where you got blown out by the Packers, and that was on a 9-7 season anyway. And then for the Raiders, they're losing because not only has the coach shown that he's given up on his team for this year, the players are like, well, screw you then. We give up on you. We're not going to play for you. And that's evident in the fact you get blown out by a third-string quarterback in his debut who had, I'm reading it now, 151.9 passer rating.
Second best passer rating on debut.
I mean, for come on.
I do want to say massive shout out to Kyle Shanahan because we saw the classic Hugh Jackson excuse of, well, it's not my fault my offense didn't work. I didn't have the players to implement it. Yeah. Kyle Shanahan basically has what I think an all-pro tight end in George Kittle. I think is the best tight end in the league currently, or playing the best.
Yeah, he's up there with Kelsey. He's better than Gronkowski.
Yeah. And Olsen is incredibly reliable, but Olsen doesn't have the yard after catch prowess of Kelsey or
Kittle every game.
And Kittle is probably the best run blocking tight end in the league as well. He was drafted as a run blocker, and then all of a sudden he's just exploded. I love George Kittle. Massive shout out to him. But other than that, who does Shanahan really have on offense? And a good left tackle in McGlinchey.
That was one of my favourite plays of this week, actually, was the McGlinchey block. McGlinchey ended up running. I can't remember who it was that scored in the end. But it was somewhat, I don't know if it was a run or if it was like a slightly pass to the right. Yeah. And McGlinchey ended up in the end zone because he had been running with the guy to provide all the blocks.
You love to see it, don't you?
Yeah. And it was just so fun. And it's like, defensively as well, I thought the 49ers played pretty well. And they've got some great young players as well. And I'm just looking at like the fact that they've got another off-season and draft before Garoppolo gets back too. When his team actually stays healthy,
and it's
going to be great.
You've almost got a full situation if Mullen keeps playing. Like I'd start Mullen the rest of the season, see what happens. If he's good enough,
Mullen
sign him.
Starts this week. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he's now above Befford in the
on the depth chart. Yes, he should be, man.
Yeah.
Performance like that, you deserve it. But yeah, massive shout to Kyle Shanahan. I know Hal, who came on the show a while ago, is a massive 49ers fan, and we were talking. He's saying he's obviously very depressed about this season because Garoppolo's injured. I'd be happy about the future if I was a 49ers fan, as long as if you've got a Kyle Shanahan, a Sean McVay as your head coach. I don't care who your players are. At some point over the next 5-10 years, you're going to have a team that's lights out, and that's what Shanahan showed on Thursday night.
The thing with Garoppolo as well, it was unfortunate, but it's just that classic, the quarterback running, and you're just like, oh my god, please don't, because there's only so many guys. Because Garoppolo is big, but he's not built like a Cam Newton, like a Jameis Winston, those sort of guys that like to scramble. Because they're big enough that they can take it, and it was an awkward landing as well, and it's just really, it just sucks.
In summary, the Grudens are past it, and the Shanahan, well, yeah, because what's his name? Mike Shanahan is his dad, isn't it? He's not a coach anymore, is he? The Shanahan is in power. You are why. So the keen eared of you, or eyed if you're watching, may have noticed that we forgot to recap our predictions. That was a deliberate decision. I was just so keen to talk about the Grudens. So if you look back at our predictions for last week, I've written them all down here. Do you remember what you predicted in the Thursday Night Football?
I predicted the Raiders would beat the 49ers because the Raiders should have beaten the 49ers. But at this point, I'm going to say, right here, right now, the Raiders are finishing 1-15 because no one sucks as bad as the Raiders suck.
I can't see the Raiders
because there is not a team in this league that has quit on their coach yet. Maybe the Jags have. Maybe the Jags have quit on their quarterback, but the Jags are still too naturally talented to only win 3 games. Yeah. But the Raiders just pure. So, and even to that point, the Raiders didn't deserve that one win they've got. Cleveland won that game. Yeah. So I'm looking at it right now. I'm like, oh my god, the Raiders. That would have been brilliant. Yeah. I mean, 1-15 will still be the ultimate like disappointment. When in 20 years' time, when they do like top 10 most disappointing seasons ever, this is going to be number 1.
Top 10 anime betrayals.
Yeah. Raiders will not win another game.
Do you know what? I'm with you on that. Then we have Redskins, Falcons. Me and Mark both saying Falcons. You, of course, said Redskins.
Yeah. I've got to go with my conviction, but again, at this point, I'm like, I know what I get over Redskins, and that's consistent inconsistency.
Yeah. Vikings, Lions.
I think we all went Vikings, didn't we? Except you, who said Lions.
No, I said Vikings.
You said Lions.
I said Vikings.
Why are you smiling like that?
I said Vikings.
Okay.
It's written on here.
Okay.
I said I wanted to say Lions, but I said I couldn't because, like, you know, it's the Lions.
Yeah.
Ravens, Steelers. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
That little chestnut.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go for?
I picked Ravens. You picked Steelers.
100%, baby. Broncos, Chiefs. We all went Chiefs.
Yeah.
There's nothing interesting about that game really, other than the Browns.
Browns,
Chiefs.
Yeah.
Browns, Chiefs. Yeah. Actually, there is something interesting about that game. We'll talk about that maybe. Dolphins, Jets.
Did I pick the Jets?
Yeah. But you know what? I didn't hate the pick.
In the end, what separated it was a pick 6.
Yeah.
In the 4th quarter. If it wasn't for that, it would have been a 6-all overtime draw.
Bills, Bears. It would have been a brave soul to pick the Bills on this show, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, especially with Peterman now the starter, because you literally have no choice.
Let me give you some stats. I don't know if you saw if you were not following us on Twitter again, make sure you do at NFLementary. Our whacked tweet of the week, which is a new Twitter segment I'm bringing to the Twitter sphere. Basically, I just pick the most astounding stat. The past 2 have both been about Bills quarterbacks.
Kind of says something.
Nathan Peterman threw 3 interceptions on Sunday and lowered his career interception percentage.
That is amazing.
I have another one stored up if you'd like to hear it.
Yeah, go on then.
It's about my favourite receiver, Kelvin Benjamin.
Oh, yeah. So,
when you spike the ball, you get a passer rating of, I think, 36.2 or 39.2. I'm not 100% sure. It's, high 30s. That's an incompletion. Kelvin Benjamin, when targeted by Bills quarterbacks this season, has a passer rating of 22.4. You are better off spiking the ball than throwing to Kelvin Benjamin.
Oh my god. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Interestingly as well, the Bills defense is currently ranked number 4 in total defense, which is actually kind of incredible given all the takeaways.
41 points.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is before the games. But given all the takeaways that they've had to endure, that defense has actually done quite well.
Yeah. Actually, I say that they gave up 41 points and then they gave up 47 in Baltimore the first week. But actually, that's turnovers. Turnovers leading straight to points. Yeah. So
was it 14 points off turnovers in the Bears game?
The Bills are one of those franchises that I wish would just give up. Call it a day. Just let's have a 31 team league for a while.
Texting my friend Callum. I don't know if the listeners remember him from the Super Bowl show. He's a Bills fan.
Oh,
and
yeah?
I said, it's a bad time to be a Bills fan. And he said, has there ever been a good time to be a Bills fan? I was like, fair point. Yeah. You get to 4 Super Bowls, you lose them all.
I was watching one of them the other day. It was Super Bowl 27. That was fun. That ended up 52-17. It's
just so Bills,
to Cowboys, something like
just
that.
So Bills. Sorry, Bills fans. Sorry, Bills Mafia, as I should call you.
Oh, yes.
Next, we had Panthers Bucks.
Yep.
We both went Panthers.
Yeah.
Mark, you silly Billy. You silly goose, should I say. Seahawks Chargers. We both went Chargers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like it when we agree on things.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me feel like my opinion is valid. Broncos Texans. Everyone went Texans.
Just.
Yeah. Shouldn't have won it, but they did. Saints Rams.
I said it. I
Fair
said
play.
the Saints would beat the Rams.
I didn't hate the pick. I thought it was a good shout, to be honest. I remember saying to you afterwards, the only reason I picked the Rams was because they were unbeaten. That's not a reason to pick a team to win a game.
If anything, the longer a team goes unbeaten, the more chance they have of losing. I think
it'll be good for the Rams to lose. We have some stuff to talk about with the Rams as well later on. So we'll definitely do that. Patriots Packers. We all went Patriots.
Yeah.
Also, on that note, damn, those Patriots jerseys are nice. Like the deep navy blue, all
nice,
blue.
yeah.
Like, I want to buy one, but I hate the Patriots. But I just love those jerseys. They are nice, so nice.
They've got the number colour is really nice.
Yeah,
as well,
like
silver.
up there is one of the best in the league. I think. Like, I love the Panthers black. That's my favourite. But I was just watching the highlights. Like, damn, Brady looks good in the jersey.
This is it. This is coming out live on
Cowboys Texans.
I think I picked Cowboys.
Titans, yeah, we both picked
because the Cowboys just shouldn't have done what they did and because the Titans suck.
Mark picked the Titans. So the scores on the doors this week in tied second place with 7 points each, Max and Mark, and yet again, Mystic Column comes out on top with 10 points. Only got what? 2 wrong, 3 wrong, 2 wrong, 2 wrong. That's not bad. 2 in a row. 2 weeks in a row, I've only got 2 wrong.
Impressive stuff.
Sign me up, NFL Network. Forget that Cynthia Froyland who does those weird win percentages. Apparently, the Panthers have a 50% chance of getting into the playoffs, and the Saints have a 91% chance.
All her predictions are like the number 24, 21, or 20s in it, and that's it, ever.
And she sits there and justifies it all with this mathematical model. Like, not going to lie, Cynthia. I feel like you're just making them up.
Especially when she's never been right.
Yeah, ever. Like, just goes to show maths cannot dictate NFL. You are why. Right, I think we should talk about some things like the Grudens and the... Oh, wait, we already did that. Next thing I want to talk about is... It's kind of touching on Gruden. Not really, because we're talking about whether anyone can challenge the Patriots and the Chiefs in the AFC.
Yes.
Hit me.
There is one team.
One? I've got 2.
Oh, yeah, I've got 2, actually. I don't know why I said 1. I have 2. One of them I think will implode because they always do, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, interesting. I don't have them.
Although, I'm thinking, like, here's the thing, right, I'll say with the Steelers before I get on to the team I really want to talk about is when Le'Veon Bell comes back, I think that could cause some problems, but theoretically, if everyone is playing like happy families... If you're a defense and you're looking at Ben Roethlisberger, James Conner, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and then like Vance McDonald,
David DeCastro,
how the hell are you supposed to beat that? But no, they'll implode. But the one team I'm thinking of is the Chargers.
Yeah, I've got the Chargers down.
And one thing I realised is you look at the score and you think 25-17 doesn't sound impressive. First of all, it should have been 30. Because of all those missed kicks that Sturgis missed. He's no longer on the roster. He got cut yesterday.
Interesting.
They're not playing as well as they could be yet. And that, I think, is scary. Bosa isn't back yet. And I think that won't just bring a physical... Like, literally, he won't just be there now. That will then be a momentum thing, too.
It's also silly things like you now got Bosa and Ingram on both ends. Who'd you double team?
Yeah, exactly. Phillip Rivers is playing really, really well. Melvin Gordon is having a career year. Their receivers are playing really well. They're getting chemistry with Rivers. They're healthy.
Receivers.
Yeah, they are. And they've got some really good schemes going on too. I like their head coach. I like everything that's going on with them right now. And they're 6-2, 5 straight wins. Yes, this is their first win in that stretch against a team with a winning record. But you can't choose who you play. Yeah. And it's not like they're barely beating those teams. They did barely beat the Titans, but the Titans are the Titans. But they did what they were supposed to against the Browns. They did what they were supposed to against the Raiders. Yeah. You can't criticize them for that.
It feels like as much as they're playing amazingly, they still haven't clicked yet. Like, Rivers is still completing only around 50% of his passes.
Yeah.
The defense is still giving up some plays that it necessarily shouldn't give up. When they click, and they will, because the Chargers in the past few years have always caught fire the last couple of games of the season.
Yeah.
And when they catch fire, oh my lord! When do the Chiefs and the
and
Chargers
the fact
play?
that they're 6-2, they play in one of the last few weeks of the season. But the fact that they've got to this point and are 6-2 rather than say 3-5, where they would typically be.
It's the 14th of December. I don't know what that's like.
That'll be like week 14, 15, yeah. So the fact that they're a 6-2 rather than say like 3-5, where they would usually be, is a problem for everyone else.
That game is I think, could be the decider for who takes on the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. I do want to throw another hat into the ring though.
Mm-hmm.
Texans.
No. I do not trust the Texans because they are so inconsistent offensively.
1-5 in a row.
It's driving me insane.
I love watching the Texans. Deshaun Watson has actually, I think, been playing arguably as well. I've just seen someone litter out the window. That's disgusting. Deshaun Watson has been playing as well, if not better, than he was last season when people were calling for his MVP. It's just that everyone else has also started playing better at the quarterback position. DeAndre Hopkins is, I think, I won't say the best receiver in the league. I'll say the easiest target in the league, because some of the stuff that guy can do with his body and his hands. That catch that wasn't a catch against Miami is a great example. Kiki Kuti in the slot. Demaryius Thomas, who they traded for. The O-line has kind of maybe sort of... Well, to be fair, with Deshaun Watson as your quarterback, you don't need to be a great O-line. You just need to give him a couple seconds to either throw quickly or get out of the pocket. Their defense, JJ Watt is having an amazing year. It's weird because people don't have discussions about Defensive Player of the Year the same way they have discussions about MVP or anything like that. And maybe we need to change that. But I think JJ Watt is definitely in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year at the moment. And this is the first year that I've been really into NFL, that I've seen JJ Watt catch fire. And I can now understand why everyone was so big on him those first couple of years, because the man's incredible. Jadeveon Clowney isn't playing as good as you'd think he'd play in a career year, but I mean, he's Jadeveon Clowney. Whitney Merciless, the secondary is holding up. Justin Reed at safety, I really like. Panthers should have drafted him, but well. The team is fire. It's catching fire. They're in a weak division, so they've got some nice games that they can just kind of build up their momentum. I think they're a legitimate challenger for the AFC title.
I don't see it. I don't trust them. They're winning too many close games, and what always happens with those teams is they'll come crashing down, and reality will hit them that they're not actually that good. I think they have individual players, and they have a lot of those that are playing really well.
Yeah.
But why are they just barely beating these teams? And it stresses me out watching them. I'm not in any way, shape, or form a Texans fan, but it stresses me out watching them because I just think, the talent you have, you should be blowing these teams out like you were last year. What is going on?
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. And I get it. Like, the offensive line isn't that great, and Denver have a great pass rush. But I don't know. I know they've won, 6 in a row now. But I don't know. I thought last week was the beginning of...
In fairness, it's
what it was,
super hard to go to Denver and get a win.
Oh, it is. I'm not taking away from the fact they've won 6 in a row, but I want to see this team play the Patriots again. Or the Steelers, or they've got
another
the Eagles
AFC
in the second to last
contender.
week of the season. So I'll wait for that, I think.
Yeah, it's nice that we haven't even touched on the Patriots or the Chiefs, because at this stage they're both pretty much dead certs to make it, aren't they?
Yeah, I think that will be the championship game.
At the moment, I can't see it going any other way, to be honest. On the Patriots note, other than their amazing jersey,
They have had an amazing journey.
There was a slight tinge of sadness when I watched the Packers game, because, I don't know if you saw that ad for the game that I think it was NBC put out or something like that, and it was like Michael Jordan talking about the black and white. Firstly, what an ad. Fair play. I don't even support Patriots or Packers, and, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is potentially the last time we'll ever see Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers go head-to-head, unless their respective teams make the Super Bowl, which with Brady, I can see it happening. With Rodgers, not this year. No. Maybe next year.
I don't think the Packers will make the Super Bowl in Aaron Rodgers' career.
Wow.
I don't think it'll happen. They suck. They are awful. And it's not the players that are awful.
Yeah.
It's the coaching that's awful. It's the management that's awful. It's the scheming that's awful.
I think
Rodgers summed it up. He said, we're too inconsistent offensively. We can get it down the field in 30 seconds and score, but then we can do a long drive and then stall out the 40-yard line too far away for a kick, but realistically, we've come too far for a punt.
Yeah. I don't think the coaching is bad. I think the coaching is tired. And they try to shake things up this offseason, which was the right thing to do. But it's difficult to really shake things up when your head coach remains the same. And your head coach is the one calling the plays and calling the offense. I think it's probably time for... I don't want to say it's time for them to fire McCarthy, because that would be unfair on McCarthy.
It's time to fire McCarthy.
I would say it's time for McCarthy to leave.
No. You have to recognise that when you have that sort of talent and it's finite, you have to do something.
Yeah.
This is now the time. Rodgers is what, 34?
Rodgers is a piece of coal. He's not going to be around forever.
Exactly. It's one way or another. Rodgers goes and McCarthy goes, and if you're the Green Bay Packers, you have to let McCarthy
Rodgers,
go.
Yeah. Especially after that contract just given. It's just it was almost amazing. It was almost the matchup that we were all dreaming of. 17-17, Packers charging down the field, the offense kind of rolling, the Patriots defense on the back foot, and then float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, fumble like a fumblebee came out.
Yep.
Aaron Jones. And it's harsh on him because he played quite well, and he's the best running back in the Green Bay team. But that must hurt, and you'd be annoyed if you're Aaron Rodgers. They scored off that turnover. Then they scored again, and all of a sudden, when you should have been 7 points ahead, you're 14 points down.
I in a way though, I kind of watch the way Aaron Rodgers plays in some of his games, and I feel like he's given up.
Yeah,
because
I get that vibe off him.
And he's the opposite to Brady in that respect, which is why I think Brady is a far better leader.
Yeah.
But I don't blame him. Like, every year there's something. Even coming into this year, you fire his quarterback coach without even telling him.
Yeah.
Like, really?
I just think, he's a player, you're the coach, but he's 34. He's been around the league for 15 years or whatever. He has consistently proven that he's a top 2 quarterback, really. A top 5 if you're wanting to be less controversial, or just wanting to be more controversial, ugly. He's gone past the point where you tell him what to do. It needs to be more of like a symbiotic relationship between Rodgers and his coach, and it's the same way that it is. I think it should be. Brady doesn't show up and just get told what to do. No. Brady and McDaniels have the kind of relationship where I'm sure they cooperate on the playbook and come up with plays. Drew Brees and Sean Payton, that's probably the best example of it. It's two figures in a team who help each other succeed. Well, it's what I want to see more from
Goff.
Yeah, and it's what I want to see. Goff has only been in the league 3 years. McVay is obviously the senior figure, but he still listens to Goff and lets Goff have an input on the playbook because these players, it's their livelihood, it's their career, and especially a position like quarterback, which tends to be the highest IQ, apart from maybe center on the field. You're going to want to listen to them. It's what I want to see more in the Panthers with Cam Newton. Cam Newton has obviously such a brain for football, and such a, you can see when he runs a no huddle. Why aren't we listening to him more? Yeah. When a quarterback gets to... This is a big thing I've noticed this season, is that experienced quarterbacks are so much better than younger quarterbacks, because experience counts for so much of that position. Yeah. Wide receiver or... tight end maybe less so, but wide receiver or cornerback... wide receiver or running back, let's just say, you need athleticism, speed, and skill. And your skill can develop over your career. Frank Gore has shown that you can do it when you're old, but as a general rule, younger is better because you're quicker, faster, more durable. Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Matt Ryan, Alex Smith, all these people have shown, Ben Roethlisberger. It's like a fine wine. It ages and it gets better. The quarterback position is just, you need experience, and I'm sick and tired of great quarterbacks having their career wasted because coaches won't listen to them and their input on the team. There is
only one thing I will say about Rodgers that I hugely disagreed with him, and that was taking that massive contract.
Yeah.
Because look at the I'm not saying the only reason the Patriots have been successful, but what has been so significant is the fact that they can afford to get in guys who aren't necessarily the best, but they can afford to pay more guys at a higher sort of average level, because Brady takes these cuts.
Brady's set to make $15 million in base salary this season with $5 million incentives.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
At most a $20 million cap.
You'd have to be naive to think that Robert Kraft doesn't give him something on the side. Of course he does. Yeah. But the point I mean is, Rodgers taking that huge salary, you can't afford to pay Devontae Adams long term if you're then going to pay Clinton Dix long term and this guy long term and that guy long term. It's just not going to work. And I think they've shot themselves in the foot, everyone in this situation, and it's just one of those things.
I get it. You know, being a NFL quarterback, NFL player, anything in the NFL, you know, I think the average length of an NFL player's career is 8 months or something like that.
8 months?
Yeah, it's something ridiculous because of all the practice squad players that get cut. You know, you want to make as much money as you can while you can. Fair enough. But I'm sorry, is there really that much of a difference between 100 million and like 20 million? You're still a millionaire. You're still one of the richest people in America. You're still going to be more than comfortable. Yeah, you might have a nicer lifestyle. You don't need $80 million
frankly,
to have a nice lifestyle.
You're Aaron Rodgers. When you retire, you're not going to be jobless.
Coach, pundit, State Farm.
Anything. Just your presence.
Yeah.
You demand money
People
from
will pay
that.
to look at you.
Yeah, it drives me insane.
It's ridiculous. And I really, you know, Cam Newton's got another 2 years in his contract, I want to say, maybe 3 at most.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Cam Newton deserves paying, but I hope he's smart.
Yeah. And, you know, it's in their interest to take a deal that benefits the team. Matt Ryan, $30 million a year. I'm sorry, Matt, you're not worth it.
You would think with the success the Patriots have had for
More
such a long period of time,
them,
but they don't. And I don't get it. I really don't get it. But whatever.
I don't think it's greedy. You know, because it's the norm, you can't really hate on players for doing it. But I just think Brady stands out as just smart. Yeah. And more teams need to do it. Speaking, we mentioned Goff and McVay. Rams obviously lost their first loss of the season. Mm-hmm. I want to say to you, how much does the Rams offense flow through Gurley? So Gurley obviously didn't hit 100 scrimmage yards for only the third time this year. The other games were San Francisco and Arizona, which they both won. The team is overall 2-1 when he gets less than 100 scrimmage yards. Is Gurley the massive kind of conductor for this offense that people seem to be christening him as?
It's hard to tell with a team that dynamic because you could say the same about the Chiefs, and when Hunt plays really, really well, they do tend to win, but then they also tend to win when he's quieter and he's more of the catcher than he is the runner. But I think Goff is really good. And I do. Because it's a hard one. If anything, I would say it runs through McVay.
Yeah, I agree with
I
you.
think that's the way to put it, because
I agree with you.
Gurley is hugely talented. Goff is hugely talented. All those guys are hugely talented. But I don't think it's significant that because he didn't reach 100 scrimmage yards that they are 2-1 or that they lose or anything like that. Because I think, even if he did reach that target, I still think they would have lost. Because I think it was the opponent they were playing, rather than how they played.
I've written on my notes Rams team hierarchy. Mm-hmm. So this is how I view that Rams offense. Yeah, McVay at the top, because you can plug McVay into any team in the league with any set of players and he'll get results. Yeah. O-line I have next. Rams O-line is the best in the league, I think, as a collective unit, not as individual players. They're playing the best in the league. They give Goff time. They give Gurley holes. That O-line is it's criminally underrated because, there's a lot of players. There's Whitworth and then kind of the others. Yeah. And you don't really think about who they are. And obviously, I was a part-time Rams fan last year and then they started getting successful and I didn't want to be a glory hunter, so I kind of ditched them. Yeah. But then I put Gurley. I think Gurley is, like you said, incredibly talented. He's a top... Is he the best running back in the league? Arguable. But equally, I think it's a kind of an obvious point. He wouldn't be having this success at another team. He gets schemed open a lot. He's very beneficial of the blocking scheme that they implement. Very beneficial of the passing game that McVay has created. Yes, he was incredible with Fisher, but he wasn't this incredible. No. I don't think you could necessarily plug Gurley into any offense in the league. Well, no, I don't think you could plug Gurley into any other offense in the league and have the same results. You get good figures, but you wouldn't get the same results. And then I have Goff at the bottom. Obviously, then receivers and tight ends, blah, blah. I'm a huge fan of Goff. Even in his rookie year, everyone was christening him a bust. I was still about it. Said he was going to come back. Said his second year would be his year. Prove right, Mystic Column. Hashtag it. But he's just... No, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say I could throw to receivers as open as McVay makes them, but he does. He's got a great arm. He's got great accuracy. Not incredibly mobile, but good pocket presence. And McVay has designed an offense which works for Goff and makes Goff look good. Goff is not an MVP candidate because...
I think you should look at some of those darts he's been throwing now, especially in the Saints game. He was throwing into almost triple coverage at times because of the way that the defense is all kind of coming in at this one guy. And I just think the guy is so accurate.
I still see him. I use this analogy all the time. It's from Bucky Brooks. Is your quarterback a truck or a trailer? Do they carry the team or do they get carried by the team? And for me, Goff is still a trailer. I don't think that if McVay has a bad day play calling or Gurley has a bad day... Firstly, McVay will never have a bad day play calling because he's Sean McVay. But if Sean McVay left to go to the Browns, which for some reason he was odds on favourite to do with one betting company, don't know why, then I don't think Goff has... he's now confident, great, but I don't think he has nearly the same level of success as he's having now.
I guess time will tell on that. But
could be the next.
And do you know what?
Brady.
I was going to say it could be one of those situations that we never know because McVay and Goff will always be together, and if they're always together, we'll never know the answer. And frankly, does it? If you're a Rams fan, and in respect to everyone else too, does it matter?
Yeah.
Because they're still beating you.
Yeah.
I think I know what you mean in that respect. I think if one of them pulls a team more than the other, it probably is Gurley. But I think Goff has his moments too.
Yeah. He's not about, I love Goff.
Yeah.
We got the same surname. I've got to love him. He's like my brother. But yeah. Speaking of quarterbacks who carry their team, Cam Newton.
Yeah.
MVP.
Okay, so this is what I was going to say about them. I don't think he's MVP. I think he deserves to be in the conversation, but I think it's still too early because there's too many guys playing really well.
Yeah.
And this is going to sound really weird coming off a game where you played my team.
Yeah.
And I'm not rescinding my fanship of Tampa Bay, as hard as it is sometimes, I'm not. But like every year I kind of pick another team that in a weird kind of way I sort of root for because I find them enjoyable. And this year I think it's Carolina.
That cut off really quickly, didn't it?
Like, I love Drew Brees, and I kind of want him to win the Super Bowl again, and the Chargers too. But after watching the Panthers play, they're just
it's just fun, isn't it?
Fun to watch.
Yeah.
And the big thing for me, which has always held me back from kind of enjoying Carolina more, was Cam Newton's immaturity.
Yeah.
And I don't mean immaturity in the way that he messes around, because that never bothered me, because everyone does that.
Yeah.
What's always bothered me is this fact that he clearly enjoys to win, and I think he likes to rub that in people's faces. And the fact that I don't like is that when he loses, he can't take it. But I think just his whole demeanor this year has changed a little bit. That is what I'm appreciating. And now the fact that he's playing better, I'll get that in a minute.
Yeah.
The fact that he's playing better and he's more mature now is what I'm enjoying most.
Yeah. I don't necessarily agree with you about the bad loser thing. I'll talk about it a bit while you answer the door. Yeah. Cam does have this perception that he's a bad loser, which mainly stems from the Super Bowl 50 loss, where he refused to speak to the press after the game. I mean, the man had won the MVP. I'm talking about Super Bowl 50. The man had won MVP, just lost, blah, blah, blah. He obviously wasn't going to be happy, fair enough. I understand he has that perception. What I 100% agree with you that there's something different about him this year, and I'll tell you what it is. Jerry Richardson is gone, okay? And Jerry Richardson did great things for the franchise. He brought it to the Carolinas. He has a statue outside, which, yes, it needs to be taken down. Sexual assault allegations are not something you want to be parading outside your stadium. But Jerry Richardson was very much like, do your top button up, tuck your tie up. Cam, you've got to be this, you've got to be that. Keep your hair short. We're not allowed. And it's just such a little thing. Cam's growing his hair out over the off season, and And now we've got David Tepper, who is the coolest owner in the league, I've got to say. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos, but you know, wearing Cam's hats and like walking down and doing silly dances on the sideline while they're warming up, and you know, greeting all the players with like slaps like that. Jerry Richardson would have greeted them with a handshake and then walked on. But you know, he's hugging Cam. Cam calls him his dog, like he calls Greg Olsen his dog. Cam in his press conferences taking the mick out of North Turner. He never would have done that if Jerry Richardson was there, but he's finally being allowed to be Cam. And I think I agree with you. That's maturity, not in the sense of, oh well, you know, he's grown up. It's maturity in the sense of, I can actually be myself. Cam plays well when he's having fun. And Cam plays well when he's confident. And that's something that I've always said throughout his career. And that's why I think that Cotchery catch, that wasn't a catch, was so big in Super Bowl 50, because that gets Cam on a roll and then he becomes MVP Cam and Super Cam.
I think the thing, I love McCaffrey as well. And it's weird because my impression was that everyone loved Christian McCaffrey. But I don't know if I just got to this dark section of the web or what, but there are still, or at least my perception, there are still Panthers fans that are skeptical, and I'm not quite sure why.
I don't, I'm not going to make it a race issue, but there aren't a lot of successful white running backs anymore. The same way that we were talking about a bit on Sunday, the same way there aren't a lot of successful black quarterbacks. And I think quarterbacks have it worse because they're the figure of the team. Some of the hate Cam gets, and people still calling him the N-word and stuff like that. It's disgusting. It's unacceptable. With McCaffrey, it's more of like a subtle discrimination of, I still don't think you're athletic enough. All these kind of stereotypes that, I don't want to single them out, but rednecky style people in the Deep South have these stereotypes about black people, that they're stronger, faster, blah, blah. And because McCaffrey is white, he doesn't get that same instant respect that maybe they do, which is kind of weird because we're talking about black people getting respect from the Deep South.
I know, it is, no, that's America.
But it's just that there's stigma against white running backs. And McCaffrey has proven, for me this season, him and Kamara and Gurley are probably the three best running backs in the league in terms of modern running backs, not just running backs, not an Adrian Peterson style running back, as a gadget, a tool in your offense to be successful.
But then like last year I was just crying out, like, Carolina, use him as a runner because you don't know what you've got. And they're doing it now.
With the blocking scheme that we used last year and this power running style, yes, maybe he wasn't going to succeed. But that wasn't to say that he can't succeed in a power scheme. No. It was that he couldn't be Jonathan Stewart, which is what they were asking him to be. And he's proven, McCaffrey has played 97% of our snaps this year. He's missed like 4 snaps all season. We have CJ Anderson on the bench. I won't get into how stupid that is. But I will get into the fact that McCaffrey has shown he's durable. He's showed he can run between the tackles, as he showed in his 3 years at Stanford. He was runner-up for the Heisman, and you don't get runner-up for the Heisman if you're just a pass-catching back. I think we need to use him more in the passing game. He's on track for about 100 catches. I still feel like he could do more. I think he already has more rushing yards now than he did in his rookie season, which is nice. It shows that we're actually using him correctly. But it's silly things like fourth quarter, running the clock out, put CJ Anderson in. We don't need a McCaffrey injury because he's ploughed into the back of Greg Van Roten or something. Anyway, that's a separate point. I do think the Panthers team are incredibly fun to watch this year. And I'm a super anxious sport watcher if it's the team that I like. Whenever I watch Ireland rugby, it's rare that I enjoy it because I'm always stressing out. I get so passionate about my team, it's ridiculous. But this year, and with the Panthers, that's always been the case, is that we've never had the offense to make me think, oh wow, we're going to smash them. And even, the Bucks game, we were up 35 points and still made it a close game. But suddenly this year I watched the Panthers and I'm like, damn, that's my team. Like, go, get it.
Tampa aren't a good yardstick team.
No, but
they're not.
The Ravens are.
They're an anomaly,
and we beat the Ravens. So, it's just exciting. Greg Olsen is catching anything that comes within 100 meters of him. DJ Moore, we finally realised that he's probably not a pure wide receiver, so we should use him in other ways. Curtis Samuel, we're starting to realise that he's probably one of our best players, so we should use him more. Devin Funchess is just being Devin Funchess. I hope we keep him, but I hope we keep him on a cheap contract. Not an expensive one, because he's not worth wide receiver 1 money. But I'm really enjoying watching the Panthers this season. It's nice to know that you are too. We should briefly talk about the Dallas Cowboys. We have about 4.5 minutes left.
Firstly, the Amari Cooper thing didn't work out because Amari Cooper was pretty much better at the sticks than he was down the field.
Yeah, if you drafted him to stretch the field, or traded for him to stretch the field.
Stretch the field.
How stupid! Because your quarterback is Dak Prescott. You're not going to stretch the field with anyone. You're not going to stretch the field with Julio with Dak as your quarterback. If you traded for him as a chain mover, what are you doing? You've got Cole Beasley, who's doing a great job of that, and actually is having a really good season until Amari Cooper came in and started stealing his snaps.
But the other thing is what they need a receiver. They need a receiver. I don't think Amari Cooper is the answer. They should have taken Thomas if they were willing to give a first-round pick for Cooper.
What an oversight.
But I think the big thing, and Jerry Jones has to at some point acknowledge the fact that his coaches suck.
Yeah.
They are never ever going to get out of this cycle of no.
Well,
what I mean?
Let's look at that Dallas team. Your two marquee players, Dak and Zeke, are on their rookie deals.
Yeah.
You've got all this money. You've got this window, this 4 or 5 year window where you can sign free agents. You can absolutely load your defense with money. You can pay DeMarcus Lawrence, things like that, who's actually having an incredible year. Shout out to him. You can trade for Earl Thomas and give him a big deal. You can make a super team because so much of your money that should be concentrating these two players is actually, you can spread it out.
Yeah.
And what do? They keep losing games they should be winning. You don't lose to the Titans. You don't score no points in the second half on that defense, which has proven to be, yes, a good defense, but very susceptible to pressure. Yeah. You don't rely on some running game from the 70s that's never going to work. You don't suddenly think your O-line is the best in the league and then just leave it. You keep developing. You draft Connor Williams. You start using him in a way that makes him good. You don't just rely on Scott Linehan's outdated playbook. You get rid of him. You bring someone new in, Jason Garrett. You don't rely on him anymore. He needs to go. He's tired. Yes, he's the face of the franchise, blah, blah, blah. What's he actually done for the Dallas Cowboys apart from be their backup quarterback and then somehow get the head coaching job?
I think the thing as well is they are missing the point on what they have. Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott are both very versatile players who can do a lot of crazy things with, running the ball, the passing game as well. They don't need to be like every other team, and I think it's going to take a kind of coach to come in and like a transcendent sort of offensive minded coach to come in and say, okay, this is what we have.
Like is it Scott Lindsay or something like that? The one Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley,
something like that.
Well,
in a couple of years, because let's face it, they're not going to fire Garrett.
Maybe. I mean, he already is down south, but I think the big thing for the Cowboys is they need. And Stephen A. Smith brought this up, and I think this is true. They need to start making Jason Garrett accountable a lot more. And until they do that, they're not going to be successful.
He's living off that 12-4 season, which was because, because Dak came in and they didn't know anything about him. They had to kind of just be like, okay, Dak, like, you've got a lot on you to just kind of improvise. And because Dak was able to run and do the things that he's good at, and because Dak was running, Zeke was able to run amazingly as well. And because their O-line was still good back then, they had a great 12-4 season. They're still living off that. Their offense right now is run up the middle. Crud, we're on 3rd and 8. Well, we're going to have to ling it down the field. Well, let's face it, Dak is not an accurate quarterback. That's not his thing.
No.
Dak is an incredible offensive threat if you use him correctly. Zeke is an incredible offensive threat if you use him correctly. They're not being used correctly, and the Cowboys won't win anything until they start using them correctly. They're going to pay Dak millions of pounds to be a subpar pocket passer. It's just not right. He could do so much more. Anyway, on that note,
the Cowboys suck. It's just same story.
Sorry if you're a Cowboys fan. Make sure you tune in on Thursday at 9 a.m. to hear our preview show. Thank you very much for listening. All the best. Goodbye.